Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with variable wins for the Savannah Tournament here in Golf Clash the game. Video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, and before we start, make sure that you hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. You can get ultimate tournament guides by going to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. We offer for Pro, Expert and Master Division. Link directly in the description down below. Follow the info box on the right hand side for the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions. You don't have to follow what I do suggest, but there is as always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. So hole number 1, we are going to play on the right hand side here of the fairway, and I'm going to use a katana ball as we don't really need anything else. I'm using 4.5 bar topspin and 3 bars of side spin to the right. Now the thing that I'm looking at is to be just left of the sticky spot that we do have. You can wiggle left and right and you will notice where that spot is going to be. Once you find that, you will adjust maximum distance with a 10% over adjustment and apply half a ball of curl to the right. Perfect ball, and you will notice that the ball is bouncing beautifully on the fairway over to the second fairway, and now we're looking for this ball to roll as far down here possible. The thing that we are looking for is to have the second shot with our long iron in very close to minimum distance of our club. When we do have tailwind, my trick here is to go to absolute minimum distance club. I will in that case push up, you will notice here now, see, I will push up 3 rings from absolute minimum distance. Then I apply spin, only backspin, to pin. From here now, I will be playing 5% slider, 10% over adjustment. So for those of you that are playing without the slider and stuff like that, you can take the minimum distance value and add 0.2. And that is what I do in this scenario on this specific hole. We do adjust for the 5% slider, 10% elevation, and we're looking to hit perfect. Ball bounces beautifully here on the fairway and it rolls up towards the pin for an hole-in-one, sorry, not hole-in-one, but an eagle to start with. If I would be having a flat crosswind or a headwind, I would stay in absolute minimum distance line and apply the minimum distance club 10% elevation instead. So this is a really good chance, in my opinion, to start off with an eagle on hole number 1. Hole number 2, an extremely boring par 5 in my opinion. And here, even though we have a minor tailwind, we're not gonna blast it. There's no point. The only thing that could do is that it could actually make us have a tough time to get the eagle, because that's my only plan here. I'm using 2.2 bars of topspin and 2 bars of side spin to the right. My goal here is to have the second bounce to be just above the rough on the other side, adjust max plus 10, and we will apply a little bit more than half a ball of curl to the right. Great ball to the left is not good here. We do want to hit perfect, or as worst, a minor great right. Bounce onto the fairway, and this ball is going to roll there in the end, and we're getting super duper close to the rough, and this is only due to us hitting a great ball. We could as well reduce a little bit of topspin to give ourselves a little bit more margin of error, but in the end we need to get this ball close to the rough, otherwise the second shot is going to be even tougher than what it already is. So you can see the second shot here. Now we're going to have to bounce over the bunker. The problem we have with this type of shot though is that it's close to impossible to get the correct speed down towards the pin without being very, very lucky. So the thing that I do is that I apply the amount of backspin that I can before the second bounce shows being clipped away by the rough. And once that is done, I will be adjusting maximum distance with a 20% over adjustment and then try to hit perfect. And what will happen now? The things that will happen now is either be on green for a simple putt, or be on the fringe on the back, or for that matter hit the pin pretty hard and get that ball to drop for an albatross. The third option is going to be the least likely one, But in the end, there is a chance here. I'm not gonna rule out that there will be an albatross or two, but play it very carefully on hole number 2. Take the eagle and just focus maybe a little bit more on the other holes. For hole number 3, you will see two types of play here. One where we are going to use the blue ring by the rough line, starting at the plus 3 yard mark with the sniper. And this is going to be the play for me in any type of tailwind angles. So I'm using, in this case, you can see here that I'm using almost 3.8 bars of backspin. I would say like a 3.7, 3.6 would be more accurate there, and using 1.8 bars of side spin to the right. Maximum distance with a 15% over adjustment, which gives me 8.5 rings. Now, we are going to hit perfect on this example, and you will notice that we are going to miss just right of pin. So the thing here that we need to change is not where we have our first bounce, it's the spin. So we need to reduce and go with 1.5 bar of side spin to the right instead, and keep the 3.7 bars of backspin we're having. And once again, we're starting at the plus 3 yard mark and focusing on the blue ring to get ourselves a consistent landing spot all the time. And that is for sniper 10. Those of you playing with sniper 9, you start at plus 5. Those of you playing with sniper 8 start at plus 9. Very important, as you have a different power on those 3 levels of sniper. Max plus 15, power 2. Let's take a look at the rough bump. For the rough bump, we are needed to play with as most a power 2 ball. We want to find absolute minimum distance of our club, and we're using 3 bars of side spin to the right and 1.5 bar of top spin in the end. Using the quarterback or the rock will help you loads, as it will give you the ball guideline towards the pin, and you can in that case control the shot a little bit better. Yellow ring to be just by the sand trap line, and again we are in complete minimum distance of our club. Minimum distance, no elevation, and then we're going to try to hit perfect. You will notice that the ball here is going to bounce beautifully into the rough, and it rolls down, and when it zooms in like this, we know it's going to be close, and we're getting this one right at pin for a beautiful hole-in-one with the rough bump. Hole number 4, and we start with the drive, and I'm going to use the extra mile here, as I do want to have the most power possible. 6 bars of topspin and 2 bars of side spin to the left. Now, look at the ball guideline. We do want the ball guideline to point straight down the fairway. Once finding that position, we do adjust for maximum distance plus 10. We adjust for max plus 10. You can see that we go just into overpower, and then I will apply a little bit of overpower just to compensate for that. Perfect ball. And now we're looking for the ball to, once again, to get down the fairway and to roll basically as far up possible here. The thing that we do need to have in mind though is that now for the second shot, there is unfortunately a risk to be in a situation where the ball guideline is glitchy. And the way to remove yourself from that is to use more backspin than what we normally would on a shot like this, because look at the ball guideline there. You see how it flickers basically back and forth from being, from dying to then again being rolling longer, and we don't want to do that. So I'm gonna use a little bit more backspin. I'm gonna aim for the hole. Unfortunately, we are running out of time here, which unfortunately is a problem for me, because if you're going to use this amount of backspin, then it's very important that the final bounce is showing that it's going into the hole, not to be short as I'm doing here, because if it's showing that it's going short here, even though we have a slight tailwind, it's going to stop before the hole, and that's going to obviously be the absolute hardest thing, or the worst thing I would have to say, for a golf clasher like ourselves to be just short in line. There is a rough bump here as well, but needs a lot of topspin, which would be a higher level Hornet or the runner, and that could be definitely a possibility if you feel that you want to pack the runner or the Hornet in one of your bags. No elevation for the second shot though, and this is, regardless if we're using a lot of backspin or not, it's a very good chance to actually get an eagle and win outright on hole number 4. For hole number 5, we are going to play a rough bump here, and I do start by looking at the top of the red ring to be just by the rough line, the blue ring to the right, approximately 1/4 of it falling down into the sand. In headwind, I play with 4 bars of topspin and 2.8 bars of side spin to the right, but more importantly, having the ball guideline to and through the hole. So now, for the adjustment, we are looking to play with a slight 12-1 here, so and then we're going to adjust for a medium distance with a 15% over adjustment here for this shot. Power 2 ball settings. Center the ball, no curl whatsoever, and then we're going to hit perfect. And you will see that it bounces nicely into the rough and it rolls towards the pin, and it comes in for a lovely hole-in-one. The thing that we do need to have in mind here is the reason I do play the rough bump is because that is the absolute best way to drop this for an hole-in-one, regardless of what wind you're going to have. That is because if we're going to bounce on the fairway before the rough, then it's going to be so many uneven bounces until it starts to roll towards the pin, and the inconsistency is going to be big, and therefore we play the rough bump, give ourselves the best chance for an hole-in-one. Hole number 6 is tough, and I want us to play with the big topper as a driver here in any form of headwind or just a flat crosswind, or I would say when we have a minor tailwind as well, because then we cannot reach over the rough in one go. So to prevent us from having to play with a power slice, I think it's gonna be coming left to right, I think that's the case, then we're going to have to play with the big topper here to use all its topspin. Red ring by the rough line, adjust max plus 20, using all topspin that you can with 1 bar of side spin to the right. I'm playing with a katana ball just because there is no need to play with anything else. We will still reach with the drive, and that's going to be the same even if you use a lower level big topper. You can see that I'm using the big topper level 6. That is not a must at all. You can use as low as big topper level 1 and you will still be able to do the same type of play as we're doing here. I did reduce a little bit of curl in the end, but that was actually wrong. Use max curl and, you know, make sure that even with a really bad great left, then you will stay on the fairway. Second shot, we play with 5% elevation through club distance, and here I play with 10% elevation in the video, and that's why I suggest 5% elevation, as you will notice what's going to happen. I'm using a little bit of topspin here and also 1.5 bar side spin to the left. My plan here, when we do have a crosswind or just somewhat a little bit of headwind, I want the ball guideline to show that it goes through the hole. This because I don't want to fall short in any shape or form. In tailwind, it is very important to do the opposite, is to have the ball guideline short of pin, and preferably like 2-3 green square, because that ball is going to come in pretty hot. As the green slopes slightly downhill, it's very important in tailwind that you leave yourself short of pin. You can see there, we did over adjust, use too much. We should have used 5% elevation instead of 10% elevation, and that would have been getting us a much better result here on hole number 6. So just to take the drive again, just to refresh our memory, in headwind or crosswind, or just with a minor tailwind, we play with a big topper to bounce over. If we do have a straight tailwind, or more or less a straight tailwind, we use the driver with the most power and use overpower to get over the rough directly. It's going to be much more safer and much easier to do that type of drive. So there you have the two options and the ways to play hole 6. For hole number 7, you will see two options, one where we play a bounce over shot as normal and one where we're going to go very, very aggressive. So we start with the normal version here, and we are going to play this one with a decent amount of backspin. So a sniper level 7 or better is going to be needed. 4.5 bar backspin, half a bar of side spin to the left. My plan here is to use half of the blue ring into the rough on the right and the ball guideline somewhat pointing to the right side of the hole with this type of wind, which is a northwest wind. Medium distance with a 40% over adjustment. Yes, it's a lot downhill, and also something to have in mind is that you cannot zoom in more than what I did there, and that's making it very difficult to adjust with the rings, as it's going to somewhat be hard to get the decimals correct, and you will in that case see uneven results with this type of shot. That's obviously the same with whatever type of shot you're playing on this par 3. But this is the first option. We're gonna take a look at the rough bump. So for the rough bump option, we're going to play the rough bump option in tailwind or crosswind. Again, you don't have to, but it's going to be the only times it's a possibility, as in headwind, you will go in between clubs. The inner ring to be just by the start of the rough. Ball guideline in tailwind should be just slightly short of pin. In crosswind it shall go to the pin, very important. Maximum distance with a 35% over adjustment, and if we do have a northwest or a northeast wind, we need to use pull angle. So with a northwest wind that we're having now, we're using an 1159 pull angle. If we have wind coming northeast, we use a 1201 pull angle, and the reason we do that is to make sure that we are not going to miss the rough. And you can see that we hit the rough and it rolls down towards the pin. Unfortunately, we just burned the left edge there, which means that we are just a little bit short in our adjustment, and that could be all from that we are misadjusting, or that we actually didn't get the rings to be pulled in a correct way, as again it's hard to zoom in and adjust the rings here on hole number 7. Tough par 3, but with 2 options, and it all depends on how aggressive you want to go at it. I would say if you're looking to consistently get close to an hole in one and maybe some drops, then the rough bump is going to be the play. Otherwise, for a safe birdie, bounce on the fairway. For hole number 8, you will see 2 options, one where we do have headwind and one where we do have tailwind, and the place is going to change drastically due to the different wind angles. In headwind and crosswind, we cannot reach over the rough to go for green, so then we're going to have to lay up. So we start at the +1 yard mark in headwind, and using 6 bars of topspin and 3 bars of side spin to the right. Adjust with as much topspin possible, and then we apply as much curl to the right possible as well with extra mile, which is approximately 0.8 ball outside to the right. And you can see with a great ride, we're definitely into the center of the fairway. Otherwise, we would be a little bit more to the left, but still safely away from the rough. So if you are playing with a club that has more curl than extra mile, make sure to use as maximum 0.8 ball outside to the right. Second shot is going to be with a thorn. Now, you need to check where you are in terms of your club distance. Where is max, where is min, and then base your adjustment of that. I will be playing this one with 1 right spin and 0.8 bars of backspin, and we're looking to play medium distance and with a 10% elevation. So the 10% elevation is going to follow along regardless of what club distance you're going to use. The only thing though that we cannot do in a situation like this when we are having to lay up is to hit great. And that is what I do here, unfortunately, and therefore we're going to obviously miss on the right hand side. But looking at where we missed, the perfect is gonna be, as we always say, perfect is gonna would have been in. So gets down there, we missed there just to the right, but this is how it is sometimes. Sometimes we hit great and sometimes we hit perfect. We can't really do much about that. We just need to do better the next time. But let's take a look what we shall do when we do have a tailwind. So in tailwind, we do want to play with as minimum a power 3 ball here. This because we are planning to get this ball to green, or at least we're going to attempt to do so. Play with the driver with the most power and also 6 bars of topspin. The reason I want us to limit us for 6 bars of topspin is that if we use too much topspin, we will roll over the green, and that is definitely not what we wanted to do. Obviously, if you don't have 6 bars of topspin, use as much as you have on your driver. And the worst case that will happen there is that you will be just short of green. Adjust maximum distance +10, push back to max and max over power, and don't hit bad great left, which we do, unfortunately. And what this will happen is that this ball is going to go into the bunker, but looking how this ball is reacting with a minor great or with a perfect ball, we would be having that ball on the green. And when it is tailwind, we need to take this risk. Because playing with overpower is always going to be a risk. I'm not saying that, you know, we should expect going into the bunker, because that was a really crappy drive of me. But I wanted to somewhat display to you the shot that we're going to play in tailwind, and also talk about the results that will come with that, because it's either going to be on green, or we're going to be just short of green, or we're going to be in the rough or into the sand. Those are the risks that we're taking, combined with the chances that we're taking as well to get the ball to green. So in tailwind, we push for it. If you want to reduce the amount of overpower used here, use a berserker ball, a power 5 ball, which is still a free to play ball, which you can grab from the golden shot, or any other power 5 ball, and then you will prevent yourself from having to go with max overpower and can control your drive in a much easier and better way. Hold'em a 9, no movement drive. Don't touch the target until it's time to adjust the range. 6 bars of topspin, 2 bars of side spin to the right. Or let's say like this, use as much topspin that you possibly can, because we do want to reach as far down the second fairway as possible. Max plus 10, push up to max, and then we're going to use max overpower and half a ball of curl to the right. The closer we are to the right side of the second fairway, the better it's going to be, because that's going to mean that we're going to be closer towards the pin, because you can see the pin that is located there at the top of the game screen. Now, depending on how far you're going to reach, if you're reaching to 400 yards or more, the rough bump is going to be an option with a sniper that is in level 9 or 10. But if you have a shorter drive than that, then you're going to have to lay up. And if you are going to have the option for a rough bump even with a shorter drive, you're going to have to play with a different wood club. And that is a choice you're going to have to do before you are entering the hole. So in that case, if you have a driver with 4.5 bar topspin as maximum, then you are using the Cataclysm or the Big Dog as club option. If you are having 6 bars of topspin on your driver, you use the sniper as an option if you have it in level 9 or better. Otherwise, you're choosing the Cataclysm or the Big Dog. A lot of things to think about, but those are very valuable things to not find yourself in somewhat no man's land with this type of shot here. No elevation is what I would like to play here in a crosswind. Unfortunately, I do adjust this one with minus 10% elevation, which then makes sense that I'm missing pretty heavily to the left of the pin. However though, the rough bump is the best option to get a drop here, and if you cannot reach for the rough bump, you're going to have to swallow your pride and lay up to the left side of the green and take a tough wedge towards the pin. And that is also a reason why choosing the correct club and ball from start is going to be very, very, very important for hole 9. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough with variable wind for Pro and Expert division for the Savannah Tournament and the Akacha Reserve here in Golf Clash. The game video sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic. And before we click down the video, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. Get the ultimate tournament guide for Pro, Expert and or Master division by going to patreon.com/golfclashtommy. Once again, thank you so much and good luck in your Golf Clash game.